Okay, we're out here burning brush this morning. Got wore out. But anyway, I wanted to do a video today, so I thought, well, I'll just bring my knives out here and we'll just do it here while we're sitting here watching the fire. Most of it's burnt down now. Had a pretty good blaze going here this morning. This is my son's place. Getting back to this video. Last week I came across a Jack Palance. I've always wanted to do him. A nice picture of Jack Palance when he played with Lee Marvin in the movie Monty Wash. Now I'm sure most of you have seen Tom Selleck in Monty Wash, but if you haven't seen the other one, you really owe it to yourself to check that one out because I like it a lot better than the other one, even though I like the other one quite a bit. But anyway, we were talking up at the Kansas City Wood Carving Show about Jack Palance, and I mentioned that I was going to try to do a video carving him, and everybody seemed quite interested. So I came back home and was searching Jack Palance photographs on the internet and came across Shane, some photographs from Shane, which happened to be playing on the Western Channel, I believe, Sunday night when we got home. Of course, although I've seen it a dozen times, I just had to watch it again because I think Jack Palance was really terrific in that role. So I figured, well, I'll just do him in that role because it shows a lot more character, I think, than the one in Monty Walsh, even though that was a good role for him. So anyway, I got on the internet and did some more searching, and I came up with this little sheet here. Here he is in his role of the gunfighter Williams from Cheyenne, Wyoming. And here's a caricature someone, can't make out his name here, did a few years ago, which I thought's pretty neat. And then here's another caricature here by somebody else. So I thought, between these three pictures, we could pretty well scope out, the various facial structures of this guy. He has tremendous cheekbones, a busted nose, and nice and indented forehead. It's just a good figure. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. Now, here's the size we're going to make him. Now I realize this is a little oversized from what most of you carve. You can reduce this if you want down to the size you're comfortable with. But you ought to try one of these larger sizes. I think you're going to have a lot more fun doing them than trying to do the smaller size. The details certainly come better. Now I cut this out of excuse me, out of a 4-inch thick piece of wood, and then I had to take a pretty good slab off the side to get it down to the size that my blank is. Anyway, it's 4.5 inches tall and 2 3/4 inches wide. And here's my blank that I cut out on the bandsaw. Now this one has a blemish in it, but that's going to disappear, I think. At least I hope so. When I carve it, I lopped off the sides here. Don't do that if you're not comfortable with your machine. So we're ready to go here. I'm not going to be doing much carving in this video, just explaining the project. Now, a young lady from somewhere on the East Coast asked me what kind of tool she should buy to carve. Well, I don't want you carving the way I carve. I want you to carve the way you carve. You can, maybe learn a few things from me to help you out in the beginning, but then after that, do it yourself. But anyway, to start out, I told her that as we go along, I will explain all the tools I use and how, and in the video, she can see exactly how they're used the way I carve. So, starting out with a blank like this, I naturally start out with this, Old Reliable. Now, a friend up at the Kansas City show brought me this thing. This is, it's got to be an antique. It says made in the USA, and I'm sure all these Stanley knife handles nowadays are made overseas somewhere. And it's got all these holes in it, which really make it look kind of a steampunk kind of thing. But and it's also extremely heavy. It's not light like those aluminum handles. This one's really got some heft to it. And it's a lot smaller. But the way the little, knob inside here that holds the blade in place is positioned, it allows the blade to be stuck out as far as the blade on the other knife, if you remember, that I went and ground off the other little knob and put a bunch of cement or epoxy behind it. So, you know, this one, they had a good thing and then they went and screwed it up. Don't ask me why. Okay, I'm going to be using this a lot to rough out. And another knife I'll probably use is this one here. Now this is a Lee Ferguson knife. I love his knives because they have a lot of spring in the blade, flex. This is, I think this is a 2.5 inch blade, 2 to 2.5 inch blade, which is nice for reaching into long areas like this. Other than that, I don't really have any use for it, other than to reach into long areas that I can't reach with a shorter knife. I'll just drop my protector down here in the leaves. Put that back again. And my main knife is this one here, and this is actually a replacement to my main knife made by my friend out in California, who sent me one years ago, and he said he saw it on the internet and thought I needed a new one. I'm glad he thought that, because he sent me another one, and he even incorporated some of the features that I like. He extended the blade a little farther down here. See a little notch there? That just cuts away gets away from your cutting area back up against the beginning of the handle here, and he cut this up to where when you're carving, I'll probably grind this down just a little bit. See here, when you carve, see how that hits your wood. What you want is you want the handle to just flow right into that blade if at all possible. So when I get a knife like this, or any knife actually, the first thing I'll do if that hadn't been done is grind that away right there so I don't hang up the carving as I'm whittling. Alright. Let me get suited up here so I don't cut myself. Naturally I use a glove and a finger protector. If you can see my finger protector there, you can see why I wear it. People think that would be my thumb. And I even put reinforcement on these fingers here. As you can see, I've already worn through one layer here. I pulled it off up in Kansas City. And the thumb here is getting worn down too. Because if you're going to cut yourself, you're going to cut yourself on this hand here, bad, or you're going to cut yourself right in here on this thumb. Not so bad, but it will hurt, believe me. So anyway, starting to rough out, what we do is we try to get the head into a triangular shape in the beginning. Of course, that's the way the head is if you look at it from the top. Now, as I've explained before, see how this splits right here? See that here, right there? That's because the grain is happen. See? You have to remember that. I can see the grain here. It's kind of going off like this here. It's just a characteristic of wood. Not only do you have to worry about the grain going up and down, you also have to worry about it going sideways, just depending on the piece of wood you got. So anyway, what we'll do is I'll just begin roughing out this thing. I guess you guys are probably as glad as I am that winter's finally over, even though it's kind of cool out here today. You can see why a knife with a bigger blade is better when you're working with a larger piece of wood. get down to an area in the neck. This knife can't make the turns that this knife can because of the tight radius in here. The knife blade is just too big. So when you get into areas like the neck, this is the kind of knife you want to use to make those turns. And you also want a knife that's got a little steel to it, because some flimsy detail knife just won't make it. You'll probably end up busting the tip off. Okay. Anyway, that's how we get going. Now what I'm going to do, I was going to do it for about this video. I'm going to take this down to the local wood carving group down at the senior center. I hate to say senior center, it shows that I'm getting old. I don't like that. Down to the community center. No, we got kicked out of the community center because the ladies playing bridge there didn't like us laughing so loud at our jokes. Plus they were kind of dirty jokes too. But that's all right. Anyway, down at the senior center, we have free reign down there. We can laugh as loud as we want to and tell as many dirty jokes as we can. But anyway, I'll take this down there to the senior center this afternoon, and I'll rough this thing out. I won't do any details. I'll just get the head down to the shape we're going to. And if you want to see exactly what that means, you can go back to one of the very first videos at the very beginning, and I think it's carving a cowboy head, and you can see how I get it down to the basic shape that we'll start with in the next video to come. So, until then, I'll go stir the leaves and throw on a couple more logs and talk to you later.